Welcome back to Point Blank. We're on the topic of wayward youth and how they can turn around. Well, we have in our studio, if you just joined us, we have Daphne, who was an ex-Girl Gang member. We have Geraldine, who is a psychologist, and Mrs. Yeo, who was Daphne's teacher in ITE when she was younger. Well, we'll go and look at the web comments for right now. Lots of comments. Our viewers seem to have lots of opinions. Well, Mars Bar thinks that, simple theft and shoplifting is no big deal to some people. Even rich kids shoplift, some just for the thrill, not because they can't afford it. Their parents probably can.
And Mars Bar also said, how about a pedophile? Would anybody employ them? I think there are some crimes or offences which are easier to forgive.
Well, we will just go with the comments because they are really interesting comments. Mars Bas thinks that it's good to see wayward kids come good because sometimes they go down the wrong track due to their lack of maturity. At least they can blame that this misdirection on their youth. It's easier to forgive them than someone older, like the teacher says. Like what Mrs. Yu mentioned.
And Nuji said, would anybody here employ a rapist?
And absolute things. I think ITE students have been unfairly branded as problem kids. Why the biggest crooks are university grads? Can the teacher respond to this comment, please?
I'm in a fix.
Yeah.
I shan't say that it's in any category of academic background. I think it happens across the board. It's more of I like to think that it's the influence that the child has or that young person has, and the lack of parental guidance when the child is young. Maybe for a bright person, it's like as long as you bring home the grades, I assume that character-wise you are fine. So that the child is left to develop his or her own character. So along the way, the person may get the idea that the means will justify the ends. Or is it the ends will justify the means? The ends will justify the means. As long as I get the result, it's okay. Anyway, it will do. So that might tempt the person to go into some big time crime. I don't know. And especially for those who are no good academically, then maybe like Daphne's case, seeking some thrill. Since I can't get academic thrill, then I get some kind of other thrill.
And Geraldine did mention that things like shoplifting, just being on the border of being legal sort of gives them a thrill, and that they're seeking attention. So that sort of ties in with Mrs. Yu's a point about lack of parental guidance or attention or love, which you also mentioned, right? So Daphne, how were you like in ITE? But then you had already decided, no, I don't want to make my dad so sad, right? Your dad cried, you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
So how did Mrs. Yeo come into your life? This is where Mrs. Yeo comes in ITE.
Okay. First thing is how I actually cut away all my network with my friends. I changed my handphone. Basically, I moved house. I cut away my pager. So no means of contact. It means I just want to stay. I want to focus. Every day I will just go to school or void decks, or I will go to airport to study. So basically, this is how I stop seeing them, because I feel that if I carry on to see them, I'll get influenced even more. Then when I went to ITE, I was very focused. I knew that I want to go to poly, and when I, because I'm not very good in language and stuff like that, so I met Mrs. Yeo. She makes my English lesson very interesting. I still remember there was once she brought a bag of accessories like the scotch tape, and then she would teach us. She would ask us to memorize like what are the things in the plastic bag. After that we will split into teams. So we will go out to the whiteboard and write what are the things that we remember. So we will say like, oh, remember there's a scotch tape. Then Mrs. Yeo will say, it's not a scotch tape.
Scotch is a brand.
Yeah, that's a brand. It's an adhesive tape. Okay, that's how we learn. She makes our lesson very interesting because English is a very boring subject sometimes. So for us, we can't sit still. We need some things to actually make our life more interesting. And it's fun. At the same time, we enjoy learning.
You mentioned that in ITE you ran into some financial difficulty as well.
My dad helped his friend to act as a guarantor, and after that his friend fled away. Then the loan shark came to us. Then I went out to work to try to pay off the interest, but because of the loan amount that is quite huge, and I feel that no matter how much I work, right, I work 5 days a week, it actually affects my study, but I still cannot help my dad to settle his bill and his loan. So I decided to quit school. So I was like talking to Mrs. Yeo. I told her that I'm really very sad because I really want to go to polytechnic to finish my study, but because of my dad, I have no choice.
But to go out and work.
Then she was very nice. She without even like asking me a lot of questions, Mrs. Yeo just said, okay, Daphne, I give you the check. Help your dad to settle the loan. Yeah, and just concentrate on study. So I was very touched because if not because of her, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't even finish my polytechnic and go on to uni.
Daphne today has actually graduated from university and actually has a job with a bank.
Yeah.
So we know that teachers like Mrs. Yeo can and have the opportunity and the platform to make such a difference, even if that was a check or in small little ways like, making lessons fun for them. It really makes a difference to young people. Sometimes you don't know which small thing you do can actually change a young life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, how about we take a look at another young life who has had the chance to turn around. Well, I had a chance to chat with Glenn Lim, who has actually been to prison for smuggling drugs when he was a young rock musician. Well, he is now a full-time youth counsellor and is actually pursuing a master's degree in psychology. Definitely, you actually know Glenn, right?
Yeah, Glenn is my mentor. Yeah, and
so did he help you like when you were turning around and all that, or much later?
Much later, after I was awarded the Star of Shine Award, I saw him at the ceremony, and he was telling me, he's giving a lot of motivational talk to students at RIS, and then he asked me whether I want to help him to share my story. He felt that my story is something that can help people, especially I can relate to a lot of girls because there are not many girls out there which are, they may have the similar background and things that I have done, but they are not willing to share. And it's not easy for them to open up and tell everybody, oh, I have a record. And I'm a normal tech student. I know exactly how you feel now. It's not easy. But to me, I feel that though I had a past, but I felt like it's a good story that I can motivate a lot of students, especially when I was in ITE. Saw a lot of students who are very they're not motivated. They will feel that you don't understand how I feel. Stuff like that. So I feel that I should, because of what Mrs. Yeo helped me, I realized that there's a lot of people out there who need help, and she also motivated me a lot to help other people.
Like Glenn, he thinks too that being an ex-convict actually gives him an edge to helping troubled youth. Let's take a look at how Glenn managed to turn his life around.
I love music, especially the loud and the rock kind. The heavier it is, the better for me. I could identify with the angst and the raw emotions. So I started pouring all my energy and time into it, so much so that I neglected my studies and was expelled from school.
Hey Sulin, I can really play guitar very well.
Really? But when it comes to your books?
Yeah, that's it.
But I became good at playing music, rock music with my bands, my friends. And whatever they did, I would follow them. But in the music industry, there are many associated negative vices. Smoking, drinking, at clubs, in pubs, we will be offered, as musicians, we will be offered free flow of alcohol. So I'll be abusing all those things, all those vices. And very soon I was exposed to drugs. And I had a band agent that brought us overseas to play, to perform. And in Malaysia, when I was performing there as a full-time musician in a band, and the drugs are so much cheaper than in Singapore, so we will be abusing drugs on a daily basis. I would also, during my off days, return back to Singapore, bringing with me a small quantity of drugs at each time.
The cat in the bag!
This is the cat in the bag! Yeah. You know what? This is the kind of attention I want. Amen. Tell me you need me! Yeah! You love me!
And my friends will be waiting for me. They'll be organizing a party for my return so that I could distribute out the stash of drugs. Very soon, I became so bold that I brought in my largest quantity of drugs in 1994-95. It was around New Year's Eve period.
Just a minute. Can I take your bag?
Sure. Yeah.
Please open the bag for me.
Open the bag.
Yes, yes. What's this second, sir?
I don't know.
You don't know? Then what is inside your bag, sir?
I don't know. This is my bag, but I don't know about this.
You don't want this, right?
I don't know.
Okay, never mind, sir. It's okay. Never mind. Come, don't mind, please.
Anything else to add?
No, sir. Sir, can I make one phone call, sir?
Only to your family members.
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yes?
This is Sergeant Wong from CMB. Your son Glenn is with us at the lockup. He wants to talk to you. Please hold on.
Hello? Hello? Pa, it's me.
I've been caught. I'm at the CMB lockup now.
Pa, can you come and bail me out?
Okay, you wait for me. I'm coming.
Okay.
You just wait for me.
I realized how close I was to death, the death penalty. It's a matter of a 50-cent coin weightage. I was arrested and charged for importation, which carries with it a life sentence.
Do you realize that you could be sent to prison for a very long time for what you've done? What do you have to say?
I'm very sorry for what I've done.
After considering all the evidence and the mitigating factors put forward by your counsel, I sentence you to 5 years imprisonment and 5 strokes of the cane. The sentence will take effect from today, and I hope you make use of your time in prison to think about what you've done and change for the better.
A drug addict, rock musician, and convict. Well, not exactly ingredients to a story to success, but that is indeed Glenn Lim's story. And he narrowly escaped life imprisonment. Now 37 years old, Glenn is a youth and anti-drug ambassador. But how on earth did he manage that turnaround? Well, there's only one way to find out.
Okay, I made that one phone call, I still remember, 3 a.m. to my family, to my parents. Now, I would have, at that point of time, left home for about 2 to 3 years already. I sort of disowned them. Father was on the line. What happened? He broke down and cried. The next day, they came to bail me out. I've not seen them for years. This was the first time I saw them, and it was in court. And they sort of went down on their knees, they broke down, and they were crying. They were saying, "What have you done with your life, my son? You know, one foolish mistake, your whole life gone." And it was my wake-up call.
And now you're a youth ambassador and anti-drug rehabilitation ambassador. So do you think that your past, your checkered past, life as an offender, and having gone through all that, gives you street cred among the youth, troubled youth nowadays?
Certainly, when I speak at schools, when I share my story of having been there, done that, walking the talk today, it lends a certain kind of authority. I may not represent any formal agency or state board or government agency, but when I go there and share my life, some of the hurdles that I've crossed and overcome, some of the obstacles in life, some of the struggles and choices I made during my teenagehood, and share that to young people, they take to it because I think they identify with my story. They identify with the struggles that I had with my parents when I was growing up with low self-esteem, searching for self-image, sense of value and worth in myself, searching for identity.
In what ways are you involved with youth, with work with youth nowadays? What kind of programs, events, do you have to help them?
I've been involved in so many different kinds of platforms relating to youth work. I've lost count already, but there's one exciting platform that is beginning to be established right now, even as we speak, together with some partners and associates of mine. It's called AOL, Architects of Life. We are a team of ex-offenders coming together in a mentoring framework because relationships are key. In fact, our philosophy is that life transformation of anyone does not come through programs, but through relationships in a mentoring framework, in a hope of motivating and inspiring young people to take charge of their lives today. I look at a young offender today with all his scars, with all his nonsense, as it were. He may be a rascal today, you know, but I still choose to believe in him and his potential. And because of that, it helps me to not just believe, but to invest my life into him today, even before he gets his act together.
You know, do I have to be an ex-offender to join your consultancy? What does it take?
Actually, you don't need to, but it helps. Because one of our philosophy is simply this: in order to be real to today's generation, we can't just talk. We have to walk the talk. We have to understand what it really means to have gone through and overcome obstacles in life. It can be in the form of gangs, drugs, you know, all kinds of vices that we would have gone through and have not just overcome, but have proven that victory and hope is possible.
Well, for Glenn, it seems that having, you know, a record actually gives him extra street cred. It lends authority to what he says, when he tells people, you know, you can turn around. What do you think of that, you know, all of you?
Yeah, I feel like it's a very good example. As in, you really motivate a lot of people. Like, last month, I actually went to give talk to, I think, about 12 schools, about 1,200 students. Those are students who are students at risk, and I shared my story with them. And there was this girl, she came, she was interviewed by the reporter, and she told the reporter that she was very touched by my story. Her background is, she doesn't have a mom, and you know, she's facing a lot of problems now. And after hearing my story, she felt that she's very motivated, and she felt that she's not alone. She can be like me one day. Yeah, and after hearing that, I was very touched, because I feel that, you know, although I share a lot of my story, some people will feel that, you know, you shouldn't tell people your story about your background, what you had done. But to me, I felt that if by sharing my story to people, they are motivated and they are willing to change, I'm fine with it. Yeah, I feel that helping people is something that I feel very, very blessed. Yeah.
Do you think they respect you more because you've been through what they've been through, or you know what they've been through?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, especially like even I was in uni, then a lot of my friends are like 7 years younger than me. And, you know, initially they thought that I'm only like 21, 22. After I told them about my age, they were like, are you sure? Like, yeah, I am. Then after because we became very good friends, and I told them my background and stuff like that. They're like, oh my God, Daphne, you don't look like one.
Yeah, you
know?
don't.
Yeah, so, but it's okay. I mean, I can mix around with them. I don't like to hide my stuff. I just like to share with people. You know, people do make mistakes, but you must be sure that the mistake that you have done, you never repeat it, and you move on your life and try to achieve what you want in life. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of the fact that Glenn said, you know, it's better that you have a record and then you can join my consultancy? I mean, you're a psychologist, right? And you obviously don't have a record.
I think with people like Glenn and Daphne, for the teens who are listening to them, they feel that they can identify with the pain, and that is very important for the teenagers. So of course we have those parents who bring them to us, and we use therapy as much as we can to help these children, these teenagers. And of course, one thing that they really look for is empathy, whether we can go right down to the level. And we need to overcome that barrier as professionals. We need to overcome that barrier with them, which is quite true. And
how do you do that? You know, because they probably don't want you to see you as another form of authority coming down on them, or you're from an ivory tower.
Exactly. So when they come, they would already think that you're going to judge me. You're no different
right.
from my parent. You're no different from the police, especially when we were working with the police. Oh gosh, they would think you're going to report everything to the police. And we'll go like, no, we are not going to report everything to the police. We just want to really help you. And they will say, what do you want to help me? What can you help me? What are you going to do for me? So they have this obstacle within themselves, which Glenn and Daphne probably would go right smack to that really sore point with them, you see. But for us, we need to overcome that obstacle.
That's the extra hurdle you have to go over.
So until a certain point where they realize that, hey, this person is not judging me, they're not nagging at me, telling me what to do, what not to do, then they realize, okay, they're just trying to get to know me. And that's where they start to open up. Yeah.
Mrs. Yu, do you have that same problem as well? As in, you are a teacher, you carry with it, the emblem of authority.
Yeah, everybody thinks, oh, my teacher's going to nag at me.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think you have an extra hurdle to go through. Teacher, I'm here to cane you, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. We do have to make ourselves approachable to our students. And it's easier said than done. It's actually sometimes having to put aside some school rules. Ooh. I don't mean condoning them in breaking the school rules, but if there are certain things that we can close two eyes to, then we will. I mean, there are so many wars to fight, then you have to choose the right war to fight first, the right issues to address first. When I was looking at Glenn's story and Daphne's stories, it occurs to me that, we are not perfect and we do fail, we do fall. But John Maxwell did say that falling forward, meaning you make good of your failure. And I think they have done that. But of course, I don't mean that then that give us the free license to go around failing and doing things, Sometimes we don't have to learn things the hard way personally and get ourselves burnt. We can always listen and learn from other people.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think falling forward, that's a really interesting
I like the
concept.
phrase,
falling forward. I guess for Daphne, you had people in your lives who helped you fall forward instead of backward. And people like Mrs. Yo, people like your dad who still believed in you. And and psychologists like Geraldine who want to help people fall forward. Even though you don't have a criminal record. You still try. So, thanks so much, all of you, all three ladies, for coming on our show. We have Geraldine, Mrs. Yo, and Daphne. Thanks for being point blank with us. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night because we're going to close shop for tonight, at least for point blank.
For us anyway.
Stick around for Razor's Top 5, which is coming up next.